Welcome to Innovative Strategies. We'll be live in 20 seconds. Which was actually 10.
I'll find a way. For the thrill is gone, I gotta get it on and find that strength. Cause the road I chose, yeah, it's always full. Those highway nights make me feel so safe. I chase the lightning, I got soaked in the rain. Dance with my demons.
Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategies is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not the way you've known. It's not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, let's go 31.25 thousand feet view of things today. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have questions, email Bill at bill@billhasse.com or reach out to him at 216thenet@gmail.com and just put Innovative Strategies in the subject line. Today, stepping away from the corporate world and winning with special guest and longtime listener of the show, Sally Santos.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
Thanks for the introduction. We're doing a halo now, huh?
That's right.
Altitude, low opening
That's
kind
right.
of a thing.
That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have not only a avid follower and a person who loves to chime in and bring some great questions and great comments to the show. And Sally, I enjoy having you here on the show instead of at home watching. Now I have one less listener out there going on right now, but maybe a few extra that you've influenced.
I try to get some extra people listening. Turns out I have some pretty good girlfriends that you're very well connected with, which I found out this morning from sharing.
Don't tell my wife.
In business, of course.
Of course. Yes.
But yes, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor, and my thumbs will get a break today from typing my long-winded comments. That I love your show. I caught it just at the right time, and it is one of the most valuable hours I spend in my week.
Well, that's
really,
awesome.
I mean that.
And now you're going to bring that value.
I'm going to
try. Brought
try
that value here because, like we said, winning.
Yeah.
Going from the corporate world to working in your own business, but on top of that, working with your spouse, double whammy there, and the good things. So many people in the last, let's say, 14 months have left the corporate world, and more than that in the last
over 500,000 just in January, right?
Yeah. Just under 500,000 new business startups in January alone. 1.4 million in 2021. So we're getting right there at 200,000. Let's throw in whatever started in February, and in fact, I started one in February, so I'm part of that. Another one. So we're looking at 2 million plus. New businesses starting up, and a lot of these folks are coming from the corporate world, just like you did. And what made you want to do that?
Well, to make a long story short, I'll do my best. I had the opportunity to get my dream career working in corporate marketing for a company called Catalina Marketing. Super fun. Grew up there.
The wine mixing people.
Yeah. Catalina wine mixer is definitely a thing there.
No way.
But no, the name was made up because the owners were sailing to Catalina Island. The corporate office is actually in Tampa, Florida, which happens to also be a dream. It's one of my favorite places to go is Clearwater, Florida.
Really?
And I had the opportunity throughout my 15 years of working there to travel 3 or 4 times a year there, which was awesome. But they were a little bit behind on the digital venture, and it cost the company quite a bit of money. And being in a regional spot, they shut down all of their regional and remote locations and went all corporate. And at that time, I was on maternity leave 6 weeks from having my third baby and was not in a place to relocate to Florida. So we made the tough decision to step away from my corporate career. I took 5 months off, a whole 5 months, and was like crawling my skin. I couldn't do it.
I
was
would
like, I have
imagine
to
you're
get
not
back
that
to
kind
work.
of person who can just sit around.
No,
You know,
I have a lot of energy, and so I took a position that, quite honestly, I was overqualified for, and I gave them all of my ideas and energy, and I scaled and stood up Salesforce within their organization.
Okay.
Salesforce is a large CRM tool.
Oh, I'm too familiar with Salesforce.
Yeah.
Takes about a year and a half to learn how to use the
Easily.
first third of it.
Yep.
That's just logging in.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But just being an individual contributor. So I came from a leadership position with top clients at a marketing company and stepped into an individual contributor position because growing up at a company, I didn't realize like I had the skills and qualification to step in at the leadership level.
Okay. Right.
I had never done that before. So from the ground up is how I knew how to work. So came in, gave it my all, and just functioned like a leader, which of course they loved. And like I said, scaled Salesforce, connected it from the front end of the process to the back end of the process,
Okay.
allowed them to take metrics, all these different things. And then was like not appreciated for any of it. And they actually hired somebody to come in and be
Shocker.
the director of Salesforce. So at that time,
You
go
were
ahead.
corporated.
Yeah.
You never appreciated. You were corporated.
You're
Yes.
incorporated.
Yeah.
That's
And-
a special kind of appreciation.
That's right. You were corporated.
Yeah. And at that time, coming from a position where like, I mean, I was well respected in a company of over 4,000 people to like coming in and just feeling like, ugh, you know, the whole thing was just like the death of my motivation. And I was like, I have to get out of here. And it was kind of the perfect time and the imperfect time. Tim and I were going through a lot at this time in our personal lives,
Yeah.
obviously changing over in career. We have a third baby. He's just opening up a storefront.
Yeah,
And we thought,
right.
hey, why not? Let's leave, you know, the 6-figure salary and just go full on entrepreneurs. Like, let's just jump in. So
Why
that's
not?
what we did.
Why not? I Tim, what were you thinking at that time? But because I know you're listening.
He better be,
but-
right?
He's out there. Scott says good morning. Tim says good morning. Mary says good morning. And Stephanie
Morning,
says good
Scott, Tim,
Morning.
Mary. Awesome. Stephanie, good morning. You know, it's never easy, and the timing is never going to be good.
Mhm.
You just don't know, and that's why we kind of, that's what this show's about, right? It's
Yeah.
about trying to help people make it a little bit easier, hopefully, for them, and get past it, and get past those bumps and trials and tribulations you run into from the get-go. So what are some of the trials and tribulations? Well, obviously, you know, having a baby might be a little, you know, not everybody's going to leave their corporate world and start a new business when they're in the middle of having a baby.
I know. I know.
But you know, so you stepped in.
It was just
with
what
him.
it was just what we both needed. But at the time, you know, it was kind of like, let's go. So I left right in the middle of open enrollment, which is the Super Bowl
Right.
Super Bowl in the insurance world.
Was that October, November?
It is October through like mid-December,
Yep, okay.
because we also service Medicare as well.
Medicare,
as
same
under
thing, right?
65. Yep. And it was kind of like just go. And some of the challenges initially was coming in. So first of all, obviously we are married and he knows what I'm capable of, right? So I
Mhm.
stepped into his baby,
Yeah.
thinking you should just let me do this, right? Like, you know, the skills that I have. So just like, let me do my thing. Really not respecting the fact that like, I have to prove to him, I have to prove to him that I can add value to the business that he's running, right?
Right.
Just because we're partners in life does not mean I'm just a partner in his
We don't
business.
always give each other the benefit of the doubt that we're good at something.
Right.
You know, I get that. You know, my wife is so corporate, big time corporate, but she's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
She's really good at it. And me, I'm terrible at it. But I'm sorry to interrupt. But
Oh, it's okay.
so
So a challenge would be like, you definitely have to, stepping into anybody's business, that is their baby. And you talk about that a lot. And now it's like my baby too, which is amazing. But at first I kind of took that for granted and just thought like, I know what I'm doing. So just let me do it. Defining roles and responsibilities like immediately was key. Where we have the biggest friction, and if we have friction today, which obviously that happens,
everybody does.
It's because we're crossing lines, and we're stepping into areas of the business we shouldn't.
Question. First of all, the name of your business again is
Health Markets Insurance, Santos Agency. We're right on Green Street in McHenry.
And they've got a wonderful website. We're sharing it here on social media, but you can go to...
You can visit us at 1222 North Green Street, and we're also on Facebook, Instagram. 815-271-5438 is probably the best way to get a hold of us.
There you go. Now, let's talk about that, what you just said real quick about defining roles. It's a tough thing for not just spousal partnerships, but non-spousal partnerships. A lot of times we get into business. Bill and I are a friend. Bill and I want to go and start a widget factory. And I don't want to upset Bill, or, so.
Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
It's all good.
There's nothing but brotherly love going on.
But I thought you were going to take care of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's my job, not your job.
So kind of, if you can, kind of walk me through, because that was important to your scaling and the growth of your business.
Absolutely.
Walk me through that exercise, I guess, because this is an area that all small businesses struggle with. We started 21/6 and Coach Ron and I, and we were all very, very close friends, and it was all kumbaya and hey, and nothing ever really got done because I thought you were going to do it.
Yeah,
right. So help me understand kind of how you and your husband said, okay, this is how this has to work.
Yeah. So talk about being close friends, right?
Yeah.
Can't get any closer.
And having a fourth baby at the same time, right?
Yeah. So right up front, process was the biggest part of it. So immediately I'm observing and like taking it all in and trying to identify like, what does the business need? What am I going to be responsible for? And then presenting that to him. So you talk about being very corporate. Both Tim and I come from corporate worlds. So we function very corporate-like.
Okay.
We probably don't function like a lot of other small businesses do unless they have staff, right?
Yeah.
When you start hiring people, then you kind of have to formalize how you function. That's part of our success, and how we keep it separate from home is we function like we are colleagues when we're at work.
Real quick, are you listening, Scott Giles?
So I presented it to him and said, okay, this is what I think the business needs. Sometimes I even have a hard time still calling it our business, but I've gotten better at that. This is what I think the business needs, and what I think I am good at, and what I can bring to the table. This is what I think you are good at, and what you focus on today. And it is his business, right? He started it, and he does the sales, and he knows exactly how we make money. He knows how to put the right products together for the client based on their needs, which is critical in our industry. It's needs based. Yep. But I know exactly how we do it. And I know how to pull those levers to make sure that we do it exactly how he needs it done. So it works. But presenting it to him, my idea, and then letting him kind of say yes and no, because he understands the business. And like the financial aspect of how and what money we need to make to support our family, and said, okay, let's go. But it wasn't as easy as that, right?
No, but what's important here, because what we're also learning here is, leadership skills on both sides. We're also learning the importance and the value of determining what role each is going to play, and then allowing that person to flourish in that role. And I get that where that's important, and why you two, the only times that when you cross paths is when you kind of run into issues, and that's always going to happen. But you need to recognize it. You need to then step back and say, whoa, sorry.
Yep.
That's in your lap. Because I know you folks do such amazing work, because I send you clients.
Yes.
You
which
know,
we very
so
much appreciate.
yeah, but that's in testament to just how good you are. But
Thank you.
folks out here don't fully understand how good you are, in that you grew your business 400% in a year and a half.
Yeah, we actually just looked at those numbers this morning because our year just closed on Monday.
Okay.
And so that's an accurate number from a revenue standpoint. And it was not by chance, right? That's all by design.
Oh, that doesn't just happen.
But it wasn't.
Unless you're selling Viagra. But
Now, there's a lot.
Yeah.
We've got hundreds of thousands of people listening in right now to this, and love your show, Bill. But let's make one thing clear: their revenue was not zero.
Right, of course.
Oh,
not.
exactly.
Right. Tim had been running the business for.
So he'd been running the business for 4 years prior to me
Right.
coming. Yeah.
Okay.
So, he is absolutely contributing to our family, and he's got a client base going. And so we grew. So there are tiers. I'll try to kind of like frame that. There are 4 tiers within our parent company, Health Markets. So we're 1099 agents who, have the support of Health Markets as our parent company. And there's about 4,000 agents. So there's 4 tiers. When I came in, he was at the top of tier 1, which is on average where people play, right? That's where the average agent is, tier 1, tier 2. Within the first 6 months of joining him, we were at tier 2, and we are at the top of tier 4. So we just finished in the
We'll
top
talk about those
175
numbers
of our company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to bring that up. Out of
Yeah.
4,000, you just made the top 175.
Yeah, 164 to be exact.
And that's the final figure. So
That is the final figure.
So off to Hawaii we go.
Off to Hawaii we go.
That's
I'm so
outstanding.
excited.
How
Yeah.
awesome! How
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a bucket list trip for us as a couple too. And
Sure.
we've been in each other's lives for, longer than we've been alive. Like it's,
And if 145,
Long
Tim
time.
says actually,
okay,
if
sorry.
something happens, you guys are too busy selling or something like that, you need somebody to go in your stead. Bill and I'll be Sally, you can be Tim. Bill, we'll go to Hawaii.
Oh yeah,
together.
okay.
That's gonna be fun.
I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I can do that. As long as it's paid for. Otherwise, I don't want to pay to go to Hawaii. It's too damn expensive.
Bill and I were just
Yeah.
talking. We need a vacation. Stephanie, good morning. Says with the both of you taking appointments, right? How will you shuffle the family life? I know that that has been a small struggle with our small business, and who has to reschedule to deal with the household.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. So the family dynamic of it offers a little bit of a different, situation. So typically I am going to be the first on call, right?
Oldest to youngest. Where are we talking about here?
We have a 15-year-old son. We have an 8-year-old daughter, and then a 4-year-old son. So we literally have toddlers to teenagers doing all kinds of things.
Well, fortunately, the teenager's right there where he pretty much knows everything anyway. So that's
sure.
Good. So
that makes it way easier.
So he's good.
Yeah. So I'll typically right now be the first on call because I'm not selling in our business. So all of the appointments are scheduled around kind of what we need to do. So we have that flexibility. Steph brings up a really great point. I am going to be starting to sell this year, and I'm going to start to manage our current client base. And then simple cases, right, that don't require a lot of consultation or that creative thought because I have to learn the products still.
Yeah, right. Very important.
So
And
I
how they
am
work.
licensed already,
Yep.
but that's going to be a growth aspect of our business this year. So that being said, Tim is still priority, right? He's still the expert. He's the expert in the business. He knows it the best. So he's always going to take the front of the sales role for now. But I like a good competition. So
it's
I'll
important
chase
when you talk to advisors and whether it's in the health markets or in the insurance world or something, it's important to understand the person you're talking with and the knowledge and experience they have, because it's not just here's a whole life policy, here you go.
Right.
It's how do you put that together that best fits your needs and wants, because there are many ways to put a policy together, whether it's health or life insurance and stuff. So it takes time to learn. It's not an easy feat.
Yeah. And it's been, I mean, speaking of learning, it's been very cool to be able to see him grow and his approach and his comfortability in talking about different products and putting full packages together for individuals, not being afraid to ask for that review, like being very confident in the integrity in which we do what we do, being the experts in what we do and truly believing that. So that's been incredible, but like know your role, right? So I understand that I'm strong at what I do, and that's where my background is, and I love it. But I'm now prepared to step into the sales space within our business, which is exciting because 2 years ago, I was like, absolutely not. I mean, I wouldn't even do networking groups.
So you're getting a little bored being an admin assistant.
Yeah.
Which I get. I understand. And is anybody feeling the passion here?
So true.
Because if you aren't, grab a cup of coffee and wake up.
That's right. Casey, good morning.
Yeah. Can I talk about Casey for just a second?
It's
Casey,
your show, sister.
isn't it? Is started all of this. Okay. So Casey is the husband of my best friend, who I've been best friends with since I was 8. And she is my soul sister. So if you were talking to her, you'd feel like you were talking to me.
Gotcha.
And Casey was a health markets insurance agent. He left working for the man and became the man, he will tell you. And has been doing it for probably about 15 years.
God bless him. That's awesome.
And when we had our second child, Tim, she like went from doing not walking, not talking to like saying Happy Valentine's Day, Dad, on a video while he's working restaurants. So he managed restaurants for like 20 years.
Ooh.
Never home in the evenings, on weekends, holidays. No.
Exactly.
Birthday parties happen on the weekend. No.
Tough world.
So he was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm missing everything. Casey, what do you do? And he's like, you're always at every family function. And Casey told him, and that started it all. So thank you for joining, Casey, and
Nice.
being a huge inspiration to the Santos agency and what it is today. But anyway, going back, like know your role, right? So I have a lot of respect for Tim as friends, in life, as you know, I love him, of course. And then in our business, he knows what he's doing, and he does it with compassion. And I have a lot to learn from him. His level of patience, his ability to listen. Anybody can listen, right?
And to be straight here, Tim is the exact opposite of Sally.
Oh yeah,
he's Mr. Quiet, Mr. Very low key. I mean, that the blood flows very slowly through those veins, and he's very cool, calm,
totally.
Cool. And so it's a great team.
Yeah.
You know, to have those two offsetting styles.
I'm the energy.
And getting help from outside, from friends and from people.
It always helps to marry up.
Yeah, marry up.
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
Did.
I did too. I married
did.
a Casey, as a matter of fact. So I definitely married up. And you know, but so it's important that you're going to have outside influences. You might as well make those influences helpful, right? And you know, somebody's talking to me the other day about should I get this person or this person, you know, and hire them like a lawyer or CPA or something like that. And I said, these are people you need to have in your inner circle, right? Whether they're friends or whatnot, because they are influencers to help you, because you know they're there to help you become better at it. This is not somebody you hire to bring inside the business to show you what to do and help you. These are people that bend your ear on the outside and help influence what you're doing on the inside. Very important part of starting and growing a business.
I definitely think so. When you're doing your business solo, or if you have a team of 1, 2, or 3, utilizing experts, like knowing your strengths. I think developing your weaknesses is such a thing of the past. To be able to do things effectively and efficiently and as quick as we need to do them on a low cost budget, utilizing experts is the way to go. Then you focus on what you're good at and you call in people. That's
you try to strengthen those weaknesses, and what you do is weaken the strengths.
Yeah.
You know, say that 3
times. Or you fall out of love with what you do.
That's it. Of course, Tim says, quiet only until you get me talking about wrestling on Let Me Tell You Something, Brother, the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of every month, right here at 21.6 The Net, the show it's all about professional wrestling and the World Wrestling Federation, AEW, all of the good stuff. You know what? There.
Yeah.
A new sponsor.
Yeah.
Just send Jim, you know where to write that check out.
Of course, you're listening to 21.6 The Net. This is Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. It's all about financial literacy for your business, for your personal life. Bill, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
You can reach out to Bill at BillHasse.com. That's BILL at BILLHAASE.com. Easiest way to get a hold of me.
And of course, right up there on screen, our special guest today, going from corporate to entrepreneurialism, running your own show, getting out of the corporate rat race, and being very, very successful. Sally Santos from the Santos Agency, Health Markets, right downtown McHenry. Sally, if people want to know what you do, or even just touch base with you to pick your brain a little bit on how you've taken your family business and had a growth of 400%, how do they do that?
Well, you can stop in and see us on Green Street if you're local, or you can call 815-271-5438. Like 100% of the time, you'll get me on the phone, and I'd be happy to help you or talk with you about what we do and how we do it. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
You get the impression she'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you are passionate about your business, and I love it. And I love that you have defined roles. You work hard to stay in your space. And of course, sometimes it's going to cost and everything, but I agree with you. Go with your strengths and get outside help for your weaknesses, so that you can just keep pushing forward and not get pulled back or slowed down. We talk about that all the time in this show, right?
Yep.
Get help.
Yeah, I think the biggest key, we talked about this morning, having closed our year, to the success was joining each other. So a big part of growing the type of business that we run and many other small businesses out there is cold calling. Who likes to do that? So I like to do it. I actually like it.
Does it work?
It works. You bet it works. It
Interesting.
absolutely works.
Because I can tell you there's a whole bunch of salesmen out there that says, we don't do that anymore. It doesn't work.
So guess why? I think they
Why is it?
don't have a process around how they do it. You purchase leads and you make one phone call, and maybe you make 10 phone calls, and then you're told some explicitive to do something, and somebody wants you burning somewhere and all of these horrible things, and they don't even know you because they're frustrated, right?
Right.
And then you stop, or you make 100 calls a week. But when do you revisit that? And what's your process? And how do you know when you're done with that lead? And how do you know when you're wasting time and when you're not? So having the process and how you do things allows you to measure the success of how you're doing it.
Right.
And tells you when you should stop and start doing things, because you'll start identifying those trends.
So in sales world, the industry standard is you make 100 calls, you get 10 appointments, you actually meet with 3 people, and you close 1 deal.
Yep.
That's pretty much the numbers they say. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of people trying to tell me this is how this is done, or this is the numbers and this is what's going on. No. I'll do my own.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more of a rebel in that way, and I think you are too.
Yeah.
To some extent, and Ken's getting a good chuckle out of that because he knows. There's a lot of truth in having a process and put in place, but you're making these calls. You don't want to sound like a robot either, right?
I was just going to say that. Yeah. You have no idea how many calls are coming that aren't local. We focus on McHenry County. We're licensed in other states because we have snowbirds, right? We have clients that have traveled. So as a courtesy to our client, we'll pick up a license to continue to service them and maybe other people they know.
There's a question. What states are those?
So Wisconsin, Florida, Arizona, and Ohio. And I feel like I'm missing one.
Carolina.
North Carolina.
There you go.
And again,
my home state.
It's because we have clients that have moved there, but our focus is McHenry County. So we typically are the only local person calling these individuals, which is refreshing, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot of robo-dialing that occurs. So I do have a script, but it's my script. I wrote it. They're my words. It's how I talk. It's my inflection. I place 3 calls per lead, and that is it. They get 3 emails, which are now automated per whatever action is taking place in our CRM. And they get 3 phone calls, and they're all a little bit different, so that this customer knows I'm calling you and saying this each time.
You come across as like you're serious, you're professional, you're serious, you're going right at it. Whereas a lot of salesmen might get on there and go and be a little surprised that somebody picked up the phone actually, and even more surprised when you're not trying to sell them a new car warranty.
I do take a nod to how frustrated they are.
Yeah.
I say, I understand that there are 100 people calling you, and I know how frustrating that is, but I'm right here. You can come and see us. It's just my husband and I that do this together. And I'm actually not going to do any of it right now with you. I just want to set some time up with you to meet with you and see if we can help.
Yeah.
That's not what I say verbatim, but it's about that.
Yeah. Tim?
So there's caring.
Tim says Sally has won many cold call clients by simply being friendly and understanding to the frustration that people are feeling. Many times people have said they come in just to meet her.
That's 100% true.
Doesn't shock me at all.
I've got to see who the person is that I'm talking to on the phone. No joke.
I stop by every once in a while after the show just to say hello and see what's going on.
That.
But
I play Galaga or something. What do they have there?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. There you go. It's but because it's a warm, welcoming environment there in your office as well, and but you're a very personable person, right? You're outgoing, you're confident. You're not egotistical. There's a big difference between confidence and having a big ego. So that helps, but not everybody who starts a business is that outgoing, or that easily makes friends or warms up to people. I mean, some of us have the gift of gab, and some don't.
Mm-hmm.
You do. Does Tim have the gift of gab?
He does. If it's something that he is passionate about, absolutely. But I think his gift is, listening. Honestly, he can get going.
How important is that?
But listening is even more important. And what I was going to say is active listening is a real thing. It's something that I've been working on forever.
And we're hoping every listener right now is doing active listening.
Yeah. That's listening with the intent to hear, not respond.
Yeah.
So human nature
Bingo.
is to formulate a response as soon as you start hearing someone.
Exactly.
And I have a problem of doing that because I like to solve problems. It happens immediately. So as soon as you start talking to me, I'm processing it.
Well, we're one side or the other. Let's be fair. It takes time to develop the gift of listening if you're not a listener. It takes time to develop the gift of gabbing if you're not a gabber, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's harder work, and it takes time. And usually you got to get as old as the hills like I am to finally start getting it to where it starts clicking a little bit. But yeah, it's important. But you have here's that balance, the yin and the yang that you have in a balance. That's so important.
Do you want to know something so funny that you just mentioned about that? And we won't get into this, but we're both Geminis too. So you say yin and yang.
Oh,
Tim and I are both
Geminis. Okay, I thought you were looking at me
no,
we're both Geminis.
Which is interesting.
You don't know my birthday,
but it does work like that. So it will be a challenge for me, but I'm ready for the challenge, right? I need to grow in order for us to grow. But I also recognize that he is my mentor and my coach in that area. And I have a lot to learn as far as the approach and the listening and the impact that has on our ability to service our clients.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that, you talk about a lot of important things. Yes, you have to have the passion to go and do what you do. So many people are starting their own business, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
But take the time to plan and build that machine, build that process, get an idea together and start working it. Stick with it, right? Because you have to
give it an opportunity. No plan is perfect. There are always going to be adjustments, but the end goal shouldn't change because something else changed. It's just what changes is the way the plan moves along. And Stephanie, I want to point out, I will get back to your question that you brought up about exit strategy, because I want to get there. But also at the same time now, you're going through this process with Tim, and my guess is you're taking very, very good notes, because in order for your agency to grow, you're going to probably want to bring in agents at some point, right? And so they're going to have to go through the same process. And what better person to have than you, learning from Tim and knowing that you're writing everything down. You got everything down so that when somebody new comes in, it's not, hey, good luck, have at it. There's a process that you're going to have in place, because that is so important. So many people, look, when I went into the trading pits, it was, good luck. We're not really going to train you. You either make it or you don't, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And that's so true in so many places. So if you have processes, procedures in place, you have them written down, you have the training set up, that is incredibly important. And that needs to be started from the very get-go.
Yeah. You have to have
beginning.
A playbook, if you will. I think it saves time as well, because when you are only two people or one person running your business, you may not have time to sit with that person and train them on every aspect that you need them to know.
Right.
Some of it might be more task oriented, where they could look at directions and say, okay, this is how I do this, right? So that is a big part of it. And bringing someone on is something that we're going to be doing this year. So another, facet of that is finding the right candidate to come and work with a husband and wife team. So there is a level of professionalism in our office, but we are a husband and wife team. So there are things that occur. So we think on one hand, bringing somebody in will eliminate those occurrences that where personal life might sneak in, but it's going to happen. Right? I mean, it's going to happen,
and the longer that person's with you, the more they're going to be able to see it.
But we got to hire the right person, right?
Yes.
That's going to be key. Something that I'm looking to do is put together a unique interview guide. I don't want to go after all the standard questions that you would ask somebody. We need to know that the personality is the right fit.
Yes.
It's okay. It's so easy to measure capability and whether or not somebody can do something, but do they have the drive and the personality to do what you need them to do? And then do you know what you need them to do?
Right.
That's part of it too, right?
So
yeah, absolutely.
We've got a text that came in from a listener. A couple questions. How often do you go over numbers to see if you are on pace?
So I do a deep dive every 3 months. And we look at things from a number of different perspectives. So the revenue aspect, like, are we on track to make the money we wanted to make this year? The client growth. So it's
very
not
important.
Always about revenue. So we want to bring on 15 new clients a week. Okay. So how we go about doing that is very strategic. I mean, it literally is every hour of the day, there's something planned, unless a wrench comes in, but then you go back to the plan, right?
Right.
So, and then also measuring like the effectiveness of how we do what we do. So are referrals growing? Are buying leads still effective? How many appointments are being set from leads versus referrals? How many sales are occurring from leads versus referrals? Stepping away from leads is going to be the sweet spot, right? I don't know that it'll ever happen, though, to be honest with you. I think it's always a critical aspect of what we do.
Yeah, it is. But then again, if you're bringing on other agents, you might turn more into the management role as opposed to generating lead role kind of thing.
Yes. But I think there will always be someone in our organization who manages that spot.
Of course.
Like, that's like maybe the starting place. Do they have the skin to do it? Do they have the dedication and the drive? Do they have the customer focus? That's going to show a lot of those things just going through that process of doing it.
Those folks are not always easy to find because you have to be a self-driven person. If you're going to be in the insurance world, whether it's health insurance, life insurance, advising world, you have to be self-driven because people aren't if I have to sit there every day and beat down somebody to say, come on, get out there and sell, get on the phone, go knock doors, who are you talking to, who you're working with, what do you need? That person's going to get burnt out pretty quickly and get upset and leave. And it's notorious in my world. We lose 80%, 90% of our advisors on an annual basis because they just don't want to put up with all that. So it is hard to find the right person that's going to stick around for more than that 6 to 12 month period.
Yeah. But I mean, like, looking at the numbers is one thing, and then we talk about it. So again, he's the brains and I'm the process. So it has to come together for it to work, because I can look at the process and say, oh, this is not working. We're not making the money we're said we were going to make. But wait a second, we're adding 20 new clients. Well, why is that happening? What's going on? So there's a lot, and it's not always like, oh, no, we're not hitting this lever, let's change something. That's a big mistake. So you have to have, like, this is really nerdy and I'm going to go here, but you have to have 7 points of data for it to be a trend, whatever that is. Okay. So you really shouldn't make any shifts or changes one way or another. Even if you're seeing a positive shift, it doesn't mean it's going to stay. Right. It could be something driving that you're not even doing.
Right.
So you got to just, like, be patient.
Right. Because things level out over time, right? And we do that with investments. It's like, okay, well, the market went down 20%, but you're in for 30 years. Okay. So
Right.
chill out.
It's about the long game.
It's about the long game.
Totally about the long game.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But I like that. The revenue, because if you're all of a sudden your revenue's up, but you have fewer clients, it's like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
What type of clients am I bringing on now? Where's that market shifting?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question for both of you that came in via text. Congratulations on 400% increase. How do you continue to push past the 100% mark? How or what is a success for 2022 for you?
Okay. Okay. So that's a great question. There's a lot to answer in that question.
Yes.
Okay. So
Let's take the first part.
how do you push past?
100%.
So that number, that 415% is revenue. So that's what we make today versus what Tim brought home at the close of his year before I started him with him. So we're making that much more money today than we were then. So it's far surpassed where he was. If you take it on a gross scale, that's probably more digestible. Year over year, when we look at how they measure our growth at Health Markets, which would be our commissions earned or the points tied to that, right? So by product, okay, based on sales, 79% growth. So that's based on the sales year over year. Our sales base, I'm not sure where we were over 2 years.
Right.
All I know is where the revenue grew from.
Okay.
So it was such a significant amount of revenue growth. We went from 5 figures to over 6 figures together in a short period of time, and pushing past that, which is like, we can't even think about that. We're such regular people.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And that's not something to be focused on as a business owner. It's great. It's
just
a scorecard.
comes with it, right? Yes.
It's a scorecard, but it's kind of like a title. Your title in the group or the company doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. Doesn't make any difference
That's
what they're going to call you. What's most important is the growth and the building, the continuation of that.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
So how are we going to continue to push forward?
Yeah.
Was the other part of that question.
Yeah.
So we are pushing, so we have different facets of our goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is revenue growth, of course. What are we doing for marketing? What are we doing for learning and development? So we look at all those different things, and both Tim and I have a part to that. That's the corporation in us. So we literally sit down and have this meeting. I map it all out initially. I literally write it down and run it past him to say, what do you think? It's always reaching past the low-hanging fruit. So I'm never going to put in there what I know we can do. I'm putting in there what I want to do.
Okay. Setting
so,
higher goals.
Yes. Because if you reach higher, you're going to surpass where you needed to be. It's just science.
And if you reach for the stars and catch the moon, you're still doing okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Unless you're in the locker room. You don't want to catch the moon.
Or you could be on the bench.
Or the goal in the locker room.
You get the splinters there,
But the biggest part of our growth is going to come from hiring somebody and me stepping into selling. So what we have to do today is during open enrollment, which is our busy time, Tim is tasked with not only running, we saw almost 400 new people in a 9-week time frame. One person.
Yep.
So one person taking all 400 of them in, that's
Yes.
me, putting them in the system, taking all the notes, getting them ready to go. We have a file, we're ready, scheduling it, and then one person running all of those.
Wow.
So that's new clients that we added in just this time period. So that's huge. And now the goal is for me to service current clients, because he also sits down with all of our current clients during that time frame, making sure they're good. There's no changes, no recommendations. Do you have questions?
Right.
So the goal is to service there, so he can so that book of business that he sees can expand even more. So the first year I was there, it was 207 people that came in during open enrollment. We hit almost 400. So you know where I'm going with this.
I do.
If we don't have 600 people coming in, we're doing something wrong.
Because we have, so that's phenomenal. That's real world experience. That's real life experience of what's going on with you. And there's I had the distinct privilege last week of going to Carmel High School and being a judge for their entrepreneurial program. And there were 6 groups of young men that were developing a business and a product and a service and then marketing and sales and all that stuff. And one thing I saw was they all were reaching for the stars.
Yeah.
They're I'm going to sell mine internationally, or it's going to go national. And there's not a lot of competition. And here's the reason why you need this. And I was trying to point out, you got to start off small. Mm-hmm. Like you started off I'm in McHenry. I'm local. This is what we do. We don't have a lot of competition. And so we're getting our name out there. And that's how you start a business. And then from there, you get a good base, you grow out, you get into Arizona, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and you start to grow your business that way. Mm-hmm. But you have to have that solid base first. Don't go out there thinking everybody needs what I have. And, they'll, as soon as they know that I'm the one who can give it to them, they'll all come running.
Yeah, that is right. So that's interesting that you point that out, because how many people are in sales that were presented the opportunity in that light?
Yeah.
And then we make it look so easy, right? Like, oh, it's just so easy. It's not easy. So to frame that to hopefully get 15 appointments a week. And I do my best, right? So I'll probably land about 12 in the off season, which is really good. Okay. But I have to blood, sweat, and tears, you guys. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's all on the phone too. It's butt and seat on the phone. Yep. It's not sexy talking to people and doing all this fun stuff, and being able to do this does not get people in front of us. It's on the phone doing that work. It's 300 phone calls a day. It's whatever it takes to get that in, right? So
that's
you got to do the dirty work.
That's the thing that you do. And that's the thing is you got to rein in the fact that, look, I know inside that I can do so much good for so many people. All they got to do is know who I am and what I can do for them.
Right.
And how do I get to that point? It takes hard work. It doesn't just happen. You don't just go out there and announce to the world.
Well, you do on Innovative Strategies.
I mean, right.
We've got Singapore listed.
Well, we do. And you know what? And that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of why we're doing this show, and this kind of show, to help people shout out. I think you can attest to, and I don't brag, but we have some quality people on this show.
Oh,
a lot of.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to, 3-4 weeks ago when we had Joe Rojas.
Yeah.
And Joe said, here are 5 things you need to do. And I'm just sitting here listening to you going, oh my gosh, on the button, right?
Right.
You should have seen me in my house when I'm listening to him. Please put me in a seat next to that guy.
Oh, yeah. He's amazing.
So
he's
Joe
amazing.
says, define a target customer.
Done.
Check. What problem do you solve?
Done.
Check. A program to solve it. Check. Yep. Repeatable sales and marketing. Check. Right? Repeatable delivery.
Ding, ding, ding,
Check.
ding, ding, ding.
5
ding.
for 5. 5
Yep.
for 5. And the other thing, if you're listening out there and you're new in business, because we know there's millions of new businesses out there, I also pay very close attention. She hasn't stumbled. She does not. And some of you are listening. She does not have any paper in front of her, knows her numbers.
Oh, it's
impeccably.
Right.
It's how I motivate
absolutely.
myself, right?
That's amazing to me. Yeah.
But you know what that tells you too? That not only you're passionate about it, but you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
See, and so do you ever really work?
No.
Right?
I love going to work. My kids aren't there. No, I'm just kidding. So no,
There's
I do
some
love
truth
going
to
to work.
that.
There's a
But
little
you know
bit of
what?
truth
While
to
you're
that.
giving all your attention to your new baby, which is Tim's baby too, right? So you didn't know you were going to have that fourth one, but you do.
Right. No, we do. So the environment in which we work in is unique, right? We literally had a client come into our office, a walk-in, and she walks in and she's looking around, all suspect, right?
Yeah.
Checking it out. And I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Sally. Can I help you? She's like, this is an insurance office. Like, where are the cubicles?
Right.
Literally asking this. Where are your product books?
Right.
How come you don't have any flyers out? She was worried that we were a pop-up that was going to disappear after open enrollment. And I looked around and said, if we could pull off a scheme like that, we should not be in insurance. We are here to stay. We put ourselves right in the middle of the community because there is that stigma. There's that stigma. So
absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. That's why we operate with integrity. End of story. No question about it.
You know, every industry has their stigmas too.
Sure.
These are things you got to get past. Salespeople, right? You got to get past the gatekeeper because the salespeople have put themselves in a bad position. But I know you want to say something.
Well, there's two things I want to get because Stephanie had a question earlier.
Yes.
And as we're on the back side of this is the last 10 minutes, Sally, if people want to just touch base with you, maybe pick your brain a little bit on how you've had so much success. How do they do that?
So of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I've got personal and business pages, on Green Street. If you're local, stop in. Happy to talk with you. Call me 815-271-5438. That's our business line. Of course, that's not my personal number.
Hey, right. Right.
And happy to chat with you and just share my experience and expertise.
And that's Santos, Santos.
And if you don't believe her, I don't know what else she could possibly do. I mean, this gal, you want to go in and talk to her because you just want to have that conversation,
right.
and you're going to walk away a lot more knowledgeable. And thanks, Gary, for chiming in out there in Singapore land.
That's it. Now, a listener texted in and they said, how much of your business gets taken home because you guys are spouses?
Yep.
And then Stephanie says, have you and Tim thought about your exit strategy with being a family business? Will the kids take over or sell?
Yeah, great questions. So this is an honest answer. We don't bring it home. We just don't. So talk about restraint. Oh, now in the first 6 months, it came home all the time. I mean, to be our neighbors, we have neighbors upstairs that are people. They're not a business. Thank God. And my best friend has a business next to us. So, but the first 6 months were interesting. I'm going to be honest. Right. But now it does not come home. It's only come home one time. And that's just because we didn't have time to talk about it at work. So I generally leave earlier by design. It's like a cooling off period.
Yep. Okay.
We also have like ways that we pass things to each other. So we have like a book. If there's things that we have to resolve or talk about, it's written in the book. It's highlighted. It's talked about the next day. So again, we function very like corporate. We have meetings. It seems so weird. We give each other feedback.
That's awesome.
Again, process in place.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So and I mean, it works. This is not perfect every time, but it does work.
Yeah. I mean, nothing is perfect. Well, Kent maybe, but truly,
there was only one man better than me, and they crucified him long ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the end goal.
And then ask his partners.
I mean, let's not even go there, right? Actually, I have to go.
They're rolling over.
Cleanse myself. So the end goal is to take it down to Florida and focus on grandkids and boating and having fun most of the time.
Down in the Clearwater, Tampa area.
Mm-hmm.
I go just south. I go to Sarasota, the Siesta Key Beach.
Yeah. We're going to the Keys this year. We've never been to the Keys.
Okay.
And Hawaii. Look at you go.
Yeah. I know. It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. But you work hard.
It's earned.
You don't just get success, you create success, and then you get to enjoy it because that's the point. The point is to give yourself a little more freedom with your time during the day so that you can deal with families and things like that and have a life outside of sitting in a cubicle or an office space, but also to enjoy the life, to be able to travel, to be able to go out to dinners and do things. I know you can do that in the corporate world. You can earn enough money to be able to do those things, but the reality is corporate people it's a slow death.
Mm-hmm.
Just
thankless, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's I know so many people that are in the corporate world that make great money, and they'll tell you flat out, that's the only reason why I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
I make too much money.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you can leave.
You can.
Because making too much money for what? As long as you're leaving it to me, I don't want to keep going.
Right. Right.
All the better.
And hopefully our kids, one of them will take the operation here, and then we'll focus on Medicare in Florida and rock it down there until we can't anymore. So there's not really a plan to stop, right? So we're just going to relocate and slow down, but in like 30 years. I mean, literally when I'm 70, probably. So,
well, the beauty of being in business with your spouse is you don't need a buy-sell agreement.
Yeah.
Right. That's the beauty. If you're not in business with your spouse, you're in business with your friend, especially, or another person. You definitely want to have a buy-sell agreement. But an exit strategy is still something that should be in consideration and thought of, because kids don't always want their parents' business or whatnot. And then typically you also run into that second owner syndrome, where the kids get the parents' business that they worked so hard and blood, sweat, and tears and made it grow and making money. And then the second the kids take over, it's just a bank to them. And we see that. I see that a lot. And it's unfortunate because you have this wonderful opportunity sitting right there and you're squandering it.
Yeah.
But and it's hard
That's
to
a good
tell.
point. We haven't really, we have not even said that term at all. So thank you, Steph, for something that we have to kind of plan for.
You're in the growing.
You're
in the startup growing. I know it's been 6 years now.
For him,
for Tim,
and 2 for both of us.
And 2 for both of you. So you're so focused on that growth part. But Stephanie, it is a good point. Exit strategies are important, and you need to look at least understand the different realms of possibilities, because we're in that world where life happens.
Yeah.
Right. And you need to kind of be prepared for that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to want to go plan for that. My process mind is like exit strategy. Write it down.
It's planning for it is, what's important is, and it's kind of what I like to do. I provide knowledge. Right. And so what does knowledge do? And we've been through this in every show. I think knowledge provides you with options. Options give you freedom.
Yep.
And freedom is where you want to get to, because freedom is there's nothing weighing down your shoulders. You're just loving life.
Yeah.
And so you're in that seeking that knowledge level, because in your world you can sell your business to somebody else who can then come in and take over. You can turn it over to your kids. You can turn it over to employees. But you have to have that plan in place, because you can't get to the point where say, okay, I'm ready to retire and I'm going to give it to my employees. And they turn around and say, well, I don't want it.
Right.
Then you look at your eldest son and are you kidding me? I
want that.
You guys work way too hard. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It happens.
You caught me on something I haven't planned for, right?
That was Stephanie.
So
I did not catch
learning. I learn something from the show every time. I love the show.
Yeah, it's fun. I learn something every time in the show too, because I get to meet such amazing people like you and get to understand, there's no one mindset and how to be successful, how to be your own business owner, how to grow your business. There's just no one straight method. I mean, there are processes, there are procedures and everything, but everybody's different. And it's the same thing in sales. Everybody tries to say, do this, do that, say this, say that. No. Be yourself. Be who you are. Do what you do. Yeah. Like you said at the beginning of the show, it's and now I'm trying to remember. You said at the beginning of the show is strengths. Yeah. Stick to your strengths and get help on the weaknesses. Don't waste your time trying to strengthen your weaknesses. It just slows you down. Yeah. And I loved that. That will stay with me too. Yeah. But yeah.
So it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I could talk for.
It's been a fast hour.
Yeah, it always is here on Innovative Strategies. Of course, if you own a business or you are looking to increase your business, you might want to reach out to Bill Hasse, maybe jump on his show and share your expertise and or allow people to jump on with you. You can reach Bill at billhasse.com. That's Bill @BILLHAASE.com and just put Innovative Strategies in that subject line and say, hey, I've got these questions. Or again, if you want to get in touch with Sally on how to build and scale your business, especially if you're doing it with a spouse, Sally, how do they get in touch with you?
So we're on Green Street in McHenry. You can stop in and see us. You can't miss our building. We've got signage all over it. Or call us 815-271-5438. Social media, Sally Santos is probably pretty easy to find in McHenry.
right.
So
It is. No problem finding her on LinkedIn. I'm sure Facebook and everything else. I do want to point one more thing out.
Yeah.
We are working on something special for next week
With
as well.
Butterfield Studios.
With Butterfield Studios.
We'll give them a shout out, right?
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are looking to interchange studios from time to time.
If you haven't tuned in, you want to like, follow, subscribe to 216 The Net at YouTube. Like, follow Bill's Facebook page because I think you're going to want to watch next week instead of maybe listen.
Yeah, that's probably a key factor there.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, awesome.
All right, for all of us here at 216 The Net, thanks for getting caught in the net with us here this morning on Innovative Strategies with Sally Santos from the Tim Santos Health Agency, or whatever, Health Markets Agency. I don't know how you say it.
Hot
Anyway,
Markets Insurance Santos.
there you
You're
go.
trying to talk as fast as Sally.
I don't know.
Good luck.
But hey, come back at 12:30 as we've got questions you never thought you could ask in church. Come back at 5:30 for two bald guys and Mike. Great Wednesday going on. Thanks for tuning in. Get caught in the net, everybody. Remember, be good, but more importantly, be good to each other.
Hey, happy Ash Day, Ash Wednesday.
There you go for all our.
Sally, thanks so much.
You bet.
Really appreciate having you on.
Absolutely.
Always fun and exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on
Gary,
and on.
Stephanie, Scott, everybody, thank you so much for listening. So many more.